A full human week had passed since the tragic passing of the Waylac star singer Gregoria Sanctus, who had died to defend the homeworld. The formerly primitive humanoid bat-like, it was a widely accepted fact that the main reason why the raiders that had tried to invade the Sonarins' homeworld were able to kill Gregoria at all was because the ancient star singer was already old and dying. As stated by his closest kin, he had originally planned to spend his dying moments singing to the Sonarins before, as was the custom among his kind, letting his body be consumed by the sun of their world. Even so, the fact that the raiders were able to harm and kill a dying mountain-sized being that could travel across the stars without the aid of technology meant that the raiders had a significant fleet that could, in theory, conquer an entire primitive planet within the human equivalent of days or less. It was a bitter fact that the Galactic Council, while the dominant force in the galaxy, as not without opposition, one of forces that opposed the Galactic Council was the Space Pirates, a faction that was made up of criminals from nearly every known race in the galaxy. While there was no denying that the violent space pirates were just as likely to attack one another as they would attack anyone else, which therefore meant that they were unlikely to ever form a unified force on their own. They were a persistent threat and resisted complete destruction for as long as the Galactic Council had existed. Unsurprisingly, many space pirates wanted the Galactic Council gone, so that they could rampage across the stars as they wished. Another force that opposed the Galactic Council was the cartel traders of the dark market, who dealt with all kinds of illegal trade, including weapons of planetary destruction, slaves, and illegal cuisine. Similar to space pirates, many cartel traders wanted the Galactic Council gone, so that they could do business freely for more profits. For example, many cartel traders believed that leaving a planet rich in resources alone, inhabitants could live in peace, was such a waste of potential profit. It was also common for cartel traders and space pirates to do business together for mutual benefit, tendency for backstabbing notwithstanding. Particularly powerful cartel traders are known to possess their own private armies. Despite the efforts taken by the Galactic Council to eliminate the cartel traders, the most cunning ones often found ways to somehow stay just out of reach. However, in spite of the desire to take down the Galactic Council, very few space pirates and cartel traders ever dared to actually try, and they were about to have one more reason added to the list of reasons. Yelled a Karenite cartel trader named like the rest of her kind. She had purple hair on her head, a pair of humanoid arms, a slimy slug-like tail for a lower body, and a pouch for storing both brood and tiny males. Similar to anglerfish from Earth, the tiny males would fuse with the much larger females after entering their pouch. A Tranquarian space pirate named Sonikok glared at Perak and asked rhetorically, "What were we supposed to do? Let that star singer live to tell the rest of the galaxy." Like the rest of his kind, he resembled a humanoid stick insect with 2 legs, 4 arms, a pair of insectoid mandibles, and a tail that contained his reproductive organs. It should be noted that all were hermaphrodites, but with the more dominant members acting as males while the more submissive members acted as females. However, even the majority of the females had a desire to dominate others like their male counterparts, hence their keen interest in having lower-ranked slaves. Visible veins appeared on Perok's face as she let out a shrieking bellow. Yes, Sonikok and Perok were about to attack each other when a Wanatan cartel trader named Gadasar spoke. "Enough. Turning on each other will not solve our current predicament." Well aware that the Winnetan female, who was nearly 3 meters tall by human standards, could easily tear them both apart if she was angered enough, both Sonikok and Perok backed away from each other. They then turned their attention towards the towering alien, which was a spider-like alien with 4 legs, 4 arms, 4 eyes, hardened skin, and a crested head. In spite of loathing the Winnetan, Sonikok asked, "What do you propose we do then? Even now, the Galactic Council is hunting us down." Gadazar growled at Soniak in distaste before she spoke bitterly. "For now, we have no choice but to lay low. I doubt the rest of our respective races will want anything to do with us after that debacle." In the past, on separate occasions, the Karenites before they could become official members though, they needed to pass a trial period which, for one reason or another, ended in disastrous failure due to provoking the Elf. To say that the Elverons had delivered a beat down to the 3 races on separate occasions would be an accurate description of the resulting conflicts. The Karenites, who believed that they had the right to bully anyone weaker than them, were deemed as unfit by the Galactic Council as soon as it was made clear that they would sooner provoke wars than stop bullying others, or admit that they were wrong about anything. The who believed that the strong had the right to enslave and dominate anyone deemed as lesser, were deemed as unfit by the Galactic Council as soon as their plan to establish a galaxy-wide slave trade became known. The Wenatans, who fanatically believed that all males were inferior beings, fit only to satisfy the desires of their female betters, were deemed as unfit by the Galactic Council, after it was made clear that they despised anyone who rejected their religious dogma regardless of gender. Unsurprisingly, many members of the three rejected races resented the Galactic Council to the point of choosing to become criminals as space pirates and cartel traders. Some, such as Sanctus and Sonarins, even ended up becoming allies for the shared goal of inflicting as much pain to the Galactic Council as possible. Of course, any plan to inflict that pain which was actually feasible needed both funding and manpower. The primitive and uncivilized Sonarins were marvelously well adapted to work as miners. Had Sonarins succeeded in capturing enough of them, both Perok and Gadasar would have been able to forcibly breed them with the aid of cloning and artificial womb technologies to form an army of slave miners. True, both technologies were imperfect, but it was not as if the welfare of slaves, their clones and progeny included, was actually important to Perok and Gadasar. Some of the produced slaves would then be given to Sonarins and his followers as payment for their services. In truth, both Perok and Gadasar wanted to conquer the home planet of the Sonarins outright, but doing so would have attracted unwanted attention. That was why the plan was to raid the planet and capture as many Sonarins as possible before leaving. No one had expected even a single Star Singer to actually get close enough to the home planet to intercept Sonarins' raiders, though. The rest, as some would say, was history. Forced to agree with Gadasar, both Perok and Sonarins nodded with bitter expressions on their faces. They were about to go their separate ways to go into hiding when a massive fleet of ships suddenly appeared in the sky above them. Their eyes widened as they realized the implication that the Galactic Council had somehow managed to track them down to their current location, which was a former asteroid mining post that had been turned into a criminal colony. They also knew that various space pirates and cartel traders would readily turn on them if it meant avoiding the wrath of the Galactic Council. A holographic image of a human male appeared in the sky above the former asteroid mining post and announced, "This is Admiral Duke Hazard of the Super Dreadnought battleship, Yamato's Fury. We are here to demand for the immediate surrender of the criminals responsible for both the murder of the Star Singer, Gregoria Sanctus, and the attempted enslavement of the failure to comply within the next will be deemed as an act of knowingly harboring these criminals." His expression darkened as he added, "I am currently in command of a lot of pissed-off boys and girls with very itchy trigger fingers. So, I strongly suggest handing those criminals to us within the one particularly audacious and quite likely stupid alien criminal which resembled a humanoid fish asked, "Oh yeah, what's going to stop us from taking you and your fleet down instead, you stupid hairless monkey?" Rather than express indignant anger, Duke wore a far more chilling smile instead as he spoke. "Well, since at least one of you is feeling brave enough to take us on." He raised his right hand and then swung it down while yelling, "I declare this provocation as a declaration of war. To all allied forces, you are free to engage the enemy at will." The various battleships that belonged to the humans and their closest alien allies soon started firing to destroy, or at least disable as many enemy space vessels and defensive turrets as possible. Realizing that the humans were not going to bother waiting for even a single one of their hours, the resulting panic was nothing short of pandemonium, as humans in powered armor landed in armored drop pods and started attacking. Who tried to flee or fight back with guns that shot powerful bolts of energy, although the armored humans were avoiding making fatal shots, mostly to ensure that the criminals could be interrogated later. The attack still resulted in a lot of severed limbs and half-burnt stumps. As for the enemies that tried to get close, well, the armored humans were all too willing to oblige with a wide range of close-range weapons such as retractable bayonets on their guns that generated enough heat to melt metal energy blades that created a spinning field of energy not unlike a chainsaw and even armored fists. The humans were not alone, as the various aliens that had allied with them also took part in the battle upon arriving in armed transport vessels. Followed after the drop pods, snake-like Slitaris, who had humanoid upper body, rapidly slithered all around the former mining post before taking positions at various hidden locations to start sniping at criminals with their foldable laser rifles. As survivors of a war that nearly destroyed their own species many human years ago, they knew how to stay hidden and strike from the shadows with not just their laser rifles, but also venom bombs, knives, and razor wire. Fenrids, who were humanoid wolves from an icy death world, howled as they charged into battle while wielding spears that generated powerful energy fields for both offense and defense. Although they lacked dedicated ranged weapons, partly because blinding blizzards were common on their worlds, they carried tomahawk-shaped bombs which they could throw at their enemies with terrifying range, accuracy, and explosive results. Velociraptor-like Dinorexes, who originated from a desert death world, and wore protective armor that had energy blasters. Power blades and energy shield generators attached shrieked as they charged into battle while shooting at their foes with the said energy blasters. As soon as they got close enough, they used their power blades with terrifying efficiency as they tore even reinforced walls with ease. Goblin-like goblets, who were all piloting small mechs that had at least one massive gun each, cackled with seemingly mad glee as they lobbed all kinds of explosives at their enemies. One type of explosive released a large blinding cloud of extremely spicy powder, rendering entire enemy squads helpless due to sheer terror-inducing agony. Worm-like Tardaswines, while not active combatants, were sent to the ground to collect the wounded, both allies and enemies alike. It should be noted that, while generally peaceful, Tardaswines originated from a swampy death world where rot and decay was ever present, so they were not against eating something, or someone, alive if deemed necessary. Many wounded criminals became a lot more cooperative when the Tardaswines did not hesitate to eat a severed limb or two, slowly, while staring at their patients in the eyes at that, to prove their point. Arguably, what terrified the criminals the most were two things: captured criminals that were meant to be executed anyway, for irredeemable crimes were made into examples by humans who wore powered armor, known as glory kills. The humans killed the examples in brutally barbaric ways that included tearing them into halves, ripping out their organs and crushing their heads. Even worse, the glory kills were broadcasted across the entire criminal colony, thus making it clear that the humans and their allies were not asking politely for compliance. The fact that the humans did not feel sadistic glee, only wrathful fury, when executing the glory kill, deeply unnerved many of the space pirates who inflicted harm upon others out of sadistic desire. The second, arguably worse thing was the war chants that made a number of criminals, especially the religiously fanatical Wenetans, convinced that the humans had formed a literal death cult that had already influenced their allies. We are the hammer. We are the hate. We are the doom of our foes. We are the dagger. We are the venom. We are the Sahados that you fear. We are the spear. We are the fury. We are the howling storm of death. We are the blade. We are the hunger. We are the hunters of our prey. We are the bomb. We are the party. We are here to fight and win. We feed on rot. We feed on decay. We can choose to feed on you, for all that we cherish. Live with honor, fight with courage, and die in glory. Before the day was over, the entire criminal colony was captured with Gaddis, Parok, and Sonikok apprehended before they and their respective forces could even plan an escape. Truthfully, though, the sheer destructive fury of the humans and their allies was enough to make more than a third of the criminals simply surrender out of sheer terror. An Elvoran soldier wore an uncomfortable expression on his face as he spoke his thoughts aloud. The humans and their allies are, barbarism aside, disturbingly effective. An Elvoran admiral named Ultheris could only sigh while rubbing the bridge of his nose and muttered, "We're going to have to do a complete reassessment of the potential threat level that these humans and their allies pose. To think that they could build crude yet effective weapons of war so soon after receiving the gifts of technology," uttered another Elverian soldier who was honestly worried about the idea of facing the humans and their allies as enemies. Yes, the Elverans were still confident that they had superior weapons, never mind their innate psychic abilities. But they did not become one of the 10 strongest races in the known galaxy by being blindly arrogant. The fact that the technology given to the humans and their allies were mainly non-military in nature, such as efficient power cells, civilian-grade warp drives, and construction mech suits, made the resulting rapid growth in military prowess all the more worthy of alarm. Well, on the bright side, this can be considered as a very enlightening military operation for everyone involved, said Reiner, a turtle-like capoid, and the Ancient of Saramens among his kind. You knew that this would happen, didn't you? Asked Reiner chuckled and said, I simply gave the humans and their allies permission to be the first wave of soldiers to find and capture the ones responsible for murdering Lord Greg. Everything else, they have managed to achieve on their own. You and I both know that many of the races in the galaxy, especially the ones from Paradise Worlds, are going to fear the humans and their allies even more once word of their deeds here, especially the glory kills and the war. Chants are made known to everyone, said Al. True, but I think we can both agree that having the humans and their allies as our friends is preferable to the alternative, said Ra. Altharaz nearly grimaced as he knew that the capoid was right.